All right, now the bottom of page 83 is where we're picking up today, and it's having to deal with how we're going to develop our conclusion. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is go ahead and just copy down that one note in regards to the subheading. This little chunk is going to be how we write our final paragraph. A lot more commonly than not, concluding paragraphs tend to be much weaker than the remainder of the writing, generally because most writers are spent at this point. They've given us all this information. They're not quite sure what the heck to bring us at the very end. But the problem is if you don't make it a strong ending, you're not going to leave a lasting impression on the reader. So I'm going to have you take some highlighted notes here about what we can do to prevent this from happening. Okay, go ahead and highlight, number one, this concluding paragraph term, and something that perhaps you've never really been introduced to before. Instead of repeating, rephrasing everything you've already told me, try to make the reader think of your topic continually, but in a new way. So thinking, how can you end your essay by still bringing up the concept of the definition of heroism, but bringing it in a new light? Okay, there are a few things to avoid. I don't see you folks ever writing the end at your essay, because you know it's not a story, and that's not what we do to end our essays. But we also want to make sure that we don't say at the end, well, that's my definition of heroism. I hope you liked it. Nah, you don't have to tell me that one. I read your definition. I understand that is what your definition was about. You don't have to point blank tell me. I get it. But there are 4 different ways that you can conclude your essay. And perhaps you have done this in the past, or maybe all 4 of these are brand new ideas to you. So we're going to label each one of those bullet points, numbers 1 through 4. So you'll see the numbers pop up as I go through each bullet point with you, but if you want to do that firsthand, you're more than welcome to. The first way that you could end your essay, explain why heroism is an important topic to you specifically. Why is it something that you enjoy? Maybe you're hoping to be a hero to a younger generation years from now. Okay, a second possible option for you is using a quote. Maybe you decide that this one quote that you listed as a possible hook choice, you think, I really like this, how can I put it in? Use it to conclude your thoughts, to remind us of what exactly defines a hero, but without saying as such. Okay, third possible way, you can always review the main point of what a definition of a hero is, but instead of revamping the same stuff that you've told us, maybe you bring a 4th point along. Here's a 4th reason that would define a hero. Here's an example of another hero. All right, last but not least, your 4th option, answer this question. How does an understanding of heroism relate to our future? Why does humanity need to study heroes? Why does mankind need a hero? What's the value there? So these are 4 possible ways that you could end your essay. And what I'm going to ask you to do right now is I want you to put a star next to 2 of these possibilities that you're thinking, I could work with this. I could end an essay this way. Once you've done that, go ahead and turn the page to 84, and you're going to look all the way to the very top of page 84. Now, just like Springboard did for introductions, there were examples that were provided for you. You also have 2 conclusion examples. They're just labeled as the samples here. We're going to read each sample conclusion, and then we're going to write just a quick little note about each sample that we've been given. So could someone please read the first sample first? Go ahead, Jay.
The best heroes out there are those that put others before themselves. How do we know when someone is a hero? When they face challenges with fierce determination, but don't save or satisfy everyone in the end. It blows us away every time a hero can fix sticky situations, but it is most important to know that a hero is doing what they are doing for the protection of everyone else. Making mistakes is what makes everything else that they do even more spectacular.
Thanks. All right, so this is what I'm going to ask you folks to do. You're going to partner up with someone. They can be someone at your family's table or not. If you want to get up and move, that's not going to bother me. But in the My Notes column to the left, I want you to write down which technique you think was used. There were 4 possible techniques, 4 possible options to end an essay. I want you to determine which one you think it was. But most importantly, I want you to tell me why is this conclusion an effective one. I'm going to give you about 2.5 minutes to kind of discuss that with a partner. Go ahead. So once you've kind of decided which possible option this was, you wrote down how it was effective, the last thing I want you to do with the sample is I want you to go ahead and give it a grade. Letter grade-wise, what do you think this thing is worth? Do you think it's worthy of an A? Do you think it's only subpar and it's only a C? Something that I just saw, someone near the front, they actually flipped over to the scoring guide. They looked up the bullet point of the conclusion, they read it, and that's what they used to kind of dictate, okay, is this an A, is this a C, or is this nowhere in between? All right, now what I'm going to have you do is look at the second sample. I'm not going to have us read it all aloud. You can look at it with a partner, and I'm going to have you complete the same process. So you're going to go ahead and read the sample. Then you're going to go ahead and decide, all right, which possible choice was being used here, why was it effective, and assign it a grade. And if you could, double check the scoring guide, the conclusion bullet point, see if it actually fits. All right, go ahead. The last thing I'm going to have you do, with each sample, I want you to highlight one sentence that inspired you, that you looked at and went, dang, I wish I had thought of this idea. With one sentence in each conclusion, then you went, that's pretty good. Wish I had thought of that one. Now, once you've got that info written down, the next step is going to be for you to pull out your raw notebook. So once you've decided in each concluding paragraph which you liked, which sentence was an inspirational one, then you'll go ahead and prep your raw notebook. Something that you're going to notice right off the bat, the table of contents today, you're actually adding 2 separate entries. One is dated from yesterday, which I'll explain that in a moment, and the second is dated for today. You're not going to need to sit with your partner for this part. Sorry, folks, I should have told you sooner. So the entry that's backdated for yesterday, you may have noticed that the activity name is the introduction, and it's something that you already have done. That was the index card piece that you completed in class yesterday, and I collected. Now, tomorrow, you folks are going to be getting that introduction back with my comments, and you'll be taping it into your wall. So we just want to set up a complete spot so that it's firmly in your text, it's ready for you when you need it. And the entry for today that is written as today's date, this is going to be our conclusion work. So once you've got your table of contents set up, just keep in the back of your mind that you need to reserve a page for entry 18, meaning you got to fill the page so that you can tape your introduction card down. Okay, so when we were looking at our Springboard book, we saw 4 possibilities of how to end your essay on a strong note. Instead of doing the humdrum, well, you said this is what I talked about, here it is again, blah. So what you folks are going to be doing is the following. In your entry page or on your entry page, I want you to go ahead and write those headings that you see on the screen. So you're going to have the first half of your page reserved for conclusion 1, the second half of your page reserved for conclusion 2. I'm going to have you draft 2 possible conclusions today. Now back on page 83, you starred 2 out of the 4 options that you felt, I could probably do this, this is a clever idea. And I'm going to be giving you a big chunk of time here to work on developing 2 possibilities. Now, if you don't get them 100% complete, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But you want to be able to develop 2 ideas because I can guarantee one of them might be stronger than the other, or you might realize while you're drafting, hey, putting these 2 together could really work out. So I'm going to give you folks 17 minutes. That's a pretty big chunk of time. And in those 17 minutes, I want you to go ahead and write out 2 possible conclusions for your definition of a hero essay. All right, go ahead.